Today we are talking about everyone's favorite four-letter F word, fear. Have you ever let fear stop you from doing something that you really, really wanted to do? Well, if so, you are not alone, so let's dive in. Welcome back to Powerhouse Women, the podcast, and I'm really excited for this episode because if you're anything like me, fear has been a huge part of what has stopped me from moving forward toward things that I really know I was meant to do and things that made me really excited about the opportunity to pursue. I know I'm not alone because just yesterday, I posed a question on our Instagram story, our Powerhouse Women Instagram, and just asked, what gets in the way when it comes to taking action on your big ideas? Or what stops you from taking that next step? And spoiler alert, the biggest answer that people gave was fear in some way, shape, or form. However they put that into words, it was either the fear of failure, fear of what other people would think. I know I really struggle with that one. And fear of just not being enough. So I knew that this was definitely a topic we wanted to tackle in the first few episodes of the podcast because, sister, if you are feeling any sense of fear, if you're feeling any of those things that I mentioned, you are definitely not alone. And I really want to give you some encouragement about what fear is, like truly what fear is, and how to keep yourself moving forward when you experience it. Because just go ahead and check your pulse. If you are a human being, I'm like, you can't see me, but I'm checking mine. Okay, great, got a pulse. I'm human. You're going to experience fear. It's inevitable. And especially if you're listening to this podcast, I feel like I know a little something about you, that you are feeling that call toward more. You have a message you want to share. You have something that you want to do that maybe you haven't even told anybody. And maybe, like me, what's stopping you from moving forward toward it is fear. And I think that when it comes to fear, we give it too much power. And so I want to give you a couple of things that have really helped me move forward in spite of fear, because for the first 30 plus years of my own life, fear kept me playing so small. So small. And it's always a little bit surreal when people will maybe comment on just what has happened in the last 2 years with the growth of Powerhouse Women, our event, or our online community, now the podcast. I think it looks really glam and sexy when you see the highlight reel on social media. But what people don't see behind the scenes is me curled up in a ball in the fetal position, usually crying, sometimes screaming, I don't know, some snot coming out of my nose, just in it. I am in it, and I am feeling that sense of fear that you're probably all too familiar with. And that's the thing to remember is what we see other people producing in terms of their content, their business growing. I have definitely bought into the lie that I'm the only one that experiences fear. And I know that that's not true. So I'm just going to be honest and completely come out with it. I still wrestle with this every single day. Every time that I go to do something new, every time I go to start a new project. And the thing that really comes to mind when I think about just that feeling of fear is actually this exact project, starting a podcast. I shared this on Instagram the other day that I had actually bought all of the equipment to start a podcast over 5 years ago. I bought a microphone. Now, it wasn't like a very good microphone. I was just like at that stage of, well, maybe I could do this, and just felt that nudge toward sharing a message on this kind of a platform. Now, I don't think I was as clear back then about what the message would be or what it would turn into. But do you have anything like that? Any project that you know you were called to do and you didn't? and you stopped yourself because of fear. Yeah, this is mine. So when it came to doing other things, when it came full circle to writing a book and then starting the event, what I anchored myself in was I already knew what it felt like to have the idea to do something, a podcast, and I knew what it felt like to not move forward on that. And one of the things that really, really helped me get out of the way was to go back to the fact that it didn't really feel any more comfortable not moving forward. It was just as uncomfortable to sit there with a vision for something that I wanted to do, a way that I wanted to impact people, and not move forward on it. What if I tried something new this time and actually followed through on a big goal or a big project, and just to see what could be standing on the other side of this fear? And that was what I kept telling myself and had to anchor myself in as I was writing the book, because that was something I was so unqualified to do. If you listened to the first episode, I shared a little bit about that. I had so much fear specifically around writing, and I would have quit 100 times if I wasn't anchored to that little seed of possibility. What could happen? I wonder if there could be something for me in this experience. So I want you to just pause and really ask yourself right now, what is the next thing that you are feeling called to do? Now, you might not actually know, and that's okay. Even if it's that feeling that there is something more, I just want you to hold on to that. And I really want you to ask yourself, what is it right now that's stopping you or making you hesitate in taking the first step? And I'm guessing it's rooted, at least in some way, in a feeling of fear. So what is it for you? Is it the fear of what other people are going to think? Is it the fear of maybe it'll fail? Maybe it's the fear of success. I have also dealt with that one. I think I've dealt with every version, every flavor of fear that you can think of, I deal with and still deal with on a daily basis. So whatever it is, I just want you to name it really quickly. I want you to just sit in it and actually allow yourself, bring that big idea to mind and notice the feeling and notice the grip. Sometimes for me, it feels like a friggin' elephant sitting on my chest. Sometimes it feels like I kind of want to puke because this idea that I have is so big and I really don't even know how to do it or what's going to happen. So I just want you to get there. And I want you to just kind of become friends with this fear, right? Just kind of invite it in. Because step one toward starting to move through this is to realize that you can still move forward and have those feelings. In fact, if you're moving forward towards something that is a really big idea or a really big goal, there's just really no other way around it. It's going to feel uncomfortable. So let's just kind of dig into what fear really is. These are some things that have completely helped me. This has been like I said, 10 plus year journey of really starting to identify what was stopping me before in the areas where I had a big idea and I didn't move forward, what got in the way. And then just in the last 2 years, truly, since starting to step into some of this, the things that I was most afraid of, what has helped me do that? So the first thing that really helped me was to realize what fear really is. Because I always would just go by the feeling. And the feeling was almost as though my life was in danger, except no one was chasing me with a knife. It was this gripping fear that I was somehow in danger. And it helped me to start to study and realize that actually that is what is happening in the brain, that your brain wants one thing only, and that is your survival. Now, this is a really good thing because if you were ever chased by someone with a knife, you would want to run. You want that fear response to kick in. But to realize that when you go to do something that's bigger than what you've done, when you go to take an action that's outside of what you know you can already do, your brain has that same response. Fear. Oh no, okay, this isn't good. This feels uncomfortable. And to the brain, discomfort kind of equals death. And it actually made me laugh when I started to realize this, because that was exactly how it felt. It felt like my life was in danger. It felt like my mind was saying, oh, this isn't good. You could really either, this could be the death of your reputation. This could be the death of your success. This could be the death of something. To realize that all my brain really wants is to keep me comfortable. And my brain really has no interest in me growing. But if I'm going to grow, if I'm going to accomplish the things that I see I can accomplish, it's going to require my growth. And so I had to start to think about my own mind as a toddler in a tiara who really wants a Barbie doll at Target and she's throwing a tantrum. And when I started to realize that the response of feeling fear, feeling like I wanted to stop myself, was completely normal, it allowed me to check in when I was feeling, that sense of fear that I was asking you to just really bring into reality. I want you to feel it right now and realize, okay, cool, my brain is working and it's doing its job, but this is a case where my actual life and safety are not in jeopardy. This just means I'm going somewhere new. And it really helped me to start to reframe that. A great book I always recommend, if you haven't read it, I love the book called The Big Leap. And he dives a lot deeper into just this feeling of discomfort when we go to do something new. And the big leap is all about, how do you leap into this next level version of yourself and next level of what you know you can do, so that it kind of warms your mind up to the fact that you're fine, like you're not going to die, even though it feels like it. And even though when you go to do that next big thing, it's going to feel scary. It's going to feel like a part of you might die, that it's actually supposed to. And that just means that you are going in the right direction. So that's actually number 2 thing that really, really helped me is, I started to really look at how safe I had been playing it all along. I wanted to know steps 1 through 1,000. I wanted to have complete certainty that something I was about to attempt was going to succeed. Anyone else out there kind of a perfectionist? Yeah. I'm raising my hand. I'm like giving you a sweaty high five because it feels that way sometimes. And I always wanted the guarantee that something was going to succeed before I would move forward. But what I'm realizing is that when it feels uncomfortable, when it feels uncertain, it's supposed to. It's supposed to feel big, because if we're going to attempt something, why would we want to do something we already know that we can accomplish when we have a chance to grow into the person who could accomplish the next level thing? And I think as humans, it's easy to forget that we're really on this planet to grow. We're on this planet to grow, to make progress, both in our own lives and then to contribute to the progress of everyone else around us. And when I was staying in my comfort zone, when I was staying small and really giving in to that fear, it wasn't as though I was any more comfortable. Like, I really want you to think about this. When, especially those of you who are feeling that nudge, that call toward the next level thing for you, is it actually any more comfortable sitting and doing nothing? It's freaking uncomfortable, isn't it? It's uncomfortable to know that you are being called to do more and then not do anything about it. And I heard, I think it was Lori Harder say this at last year's Powerhouse Women event, that we always have a choice. There's always fear. There's fear, or there's not fear, there's discomfort. There's discomfort sitting in the same place, that discomfort of knowing you're meant for more and not doing anything about it. But there's discomfort in taking the next step. There's discomfort in really diving headfirst in to whatever you're feeling called to do, but at least there is the potential of a blessing on the other side. There's the potential of a reward by pushing into the discomfort. And that really started to help me realize that when I was feeling that fear, when I couldn't clearly see my way, that was a sign I was going in the right direction. And what I realized is that moving toward these big ideas, these big goals of ours, is kind of like you're walking through a thick fog. So I can usually only see maybe the next 1 or 2 steps right in front of me. And that was the part that would freak me out because I don't know about you, but I am not one for horror movies. I've seen one too many horror movies where someone walks into the fog and it doesn't end well. So I had it like it was unsafe to do that. But truly, we only get to see the next 1 or 2 steps because if we saw the whole picture, if I could see where this podcast is going to end up or where the vision of Powerhouse Women is going to end up, it would probably be so big it would freak me out and I would like run home and go under the covers. So all I can see is the next 1 or 2 steps, the ones that I'm kind of ready for. Even though there's still fear, there's still that sense of, oh, I don't know. I was like completely having those heart palpitations driving over here today to start recording this podcast. But I know that I can see this is the next step to take. And I'm going to lean into that. I'm going to trust that once I take these steps, the next are going to reveal themselves when I'm ready. So again, realize what fear is. It's your brain thinking it's keeping you safe. And there's really no safety in staying where you are. Number 2 is it's supposed to feel uncomfortable. You want to lean into that because that means you're about to grow. And that's where all the juice is. And then the third thing is to go back to the truth that when you're feeling that fear, like when I'm feeling the most intense sense of fear, I have to remember that it's actually not about me. That whatever I'm feeling called to do is not about me. So if it's about me, it's very easy to quit when it feels scary. But when I remember that the whole reason I had the nudge to write the book, Powerhouse Woman, the whole reason I had the nudge to start the event, the whole reason I had the nudge to start this podcast is all about who it could impact, giving permission to other women to step into what they feel called to create. That's when it really, really helps me step outside the fear and start to get into action, even if it feels like I kind of want to puke, because sometimes that's what it feels like. So I still feel fear today. I really want you to know, there was probably a time I thought I would get to some level of awesomeness in life, and I would just be so unafraid, be so cool. But I'm learning that I don't really want the fear to go away because it tells me that it's important to me. It tells me that it matters and it's going to change me in the process and probably change me for the better. But I also want you to know this. Once I stepped into the fear of writing the book, and that was really, I'm telling you, that was probably the first time in my 30 plus years on the planet that I had actually said yes to doing something that scared me so much I wanted to cry, was that now 2+ years, I guess it's just coming up on 2 years into it, the blessings that I have experienced on the other side are unbelievable. But here's the thing. I couldn't see the blessings that would come from stepping into the fear when I was still standing in it. I couldn't see all of the cool stuff that would happen when I was standing on the other side of my fear. I wanted the certainty that all this cool stuff and all this magic was waiting for me on the other side, but I couldn't see it until I started walking into the fog and trusting that the path was going to lead me exactly where it was supposed to. So I want you to know that the same is waiting for you. And I don't know what it is. I don't know if there's a party waiting for you on the other side, or maybe some outcome that you have been hoping and wishing and praying for. But in my experience, sister, it doesn't come until you get real uncomfortable and you start to grow into the woman who is meant to have those things. And the path to get there is walking straight into the fire. But you need to know that you're not doing this alone, and you aren't meant to. So surround yourself with other women who are on the journey with you, because that is one way to keep yourself accountable and keep yourself moving forward when you really, really want to quit. Okay, so here's what I want to know. What is that thing that is asking you to get uncomfortable? What is the thing that is asking you to take the first step in faith, not knowing what steps 2 through 1,000 will be, just trusting that that first step is going to take you exactly where you're supposed to be? And I want to challenge you this week. Take that step. Take the first little one that you can see and know that the next one will reveal itself. And just remember, you're never alone, so plug in. If you are not already plugged into the Powerhouse Women community, you can find us on Facebook, on Instagram, on the World Wide Web. Let us know how we can be a part of your journey, because you're not meant to do it alone.